Hi everyone, Canoopsy here. Many of you have requested this video, and basically this is a look at the apps I use on my iPad Pro as well as my iPadOS 14 home screen setup. Today's video is brought to you by Yellow Images, the #1 marketplace for high-quality mockups, images, 360 images, fonts, and more for your graphic design projects. Use the coupon code Canoopsy30 for 30% off your purchase at the link in the description. Okay, so first up, my iPad Pro model is the 11-inch 2020 version in silver with the Magic Keyboard case and the Apple Pencil. And of course, this is the Apple Pencil 2, but with a chrome skin around the top. And the iPad itself and the keyboard case both have these beautiful pastel color skins from our channel sponsor Dbrand. Link below. And the wallpaper I currently have on the iPad is the default Big Sur Wallpaper from macOS, and I'll link that in the description in full resolution. I pretty much use my iPad Pro for work, school, entertainment, and just getting stuff done, and my app choices kind of reflect those use cases. Okay, so the layout of my setup. I've taken full advantage of these brand new beautiful iOS 14 widgets, and I have the calendar, weather, Apple Music, and battery widgets all in this sidebar. Below that is a widget from Goodtasks, so it lets me easily check off tasks and add them with a whole bunch of other different options. And we also have a Shazam widget for those times when a song is playing and I want to quickly know what it is. I just tap the widget, Shazam is there, I know the track. Now, as you can see, I've basically opted for a very clean, very minimal setup that's similar to macOS, where I have all the apps in the dock and nothing on the main home screen or desktop. So the apps outside the folders in the dock are just some of the basic stock apps like Safari, Files, Settings, Messages, Photos, and Notes, as well as Twitter and Gmail. And believe it or not, the folders in the dock are actually categorized. The first folder is for apps used to make things, creative apps. So we have Affinity Photo, which is basically a clone version of Photoshop for iPadOS and macOS, but unlike the official Photoshop for iPad, this one actually has so many features and everything you need to get stuff done. There's advanced layer support, clone stamp, pen tool, brushes, layer effects, channels, filters, and plenty of options to customize fonts. Affinity basically beat Photoshop at its own app for iPadOS. I've made full thumbnails in this app and plenty of other complex projects. And if you're working on something in Photoshop on your desktop computer, you can actually open native Photoshop files in Affinity. It's crazy. I usually just airdrop them from the Mac to the iPad, and it's that simple. And Affinity Designer is basically Illustrator for iPad, and while I admit I haven't used it that much, it's great for vector art, mockups, creating layouts, packaging, all that stuff. It's really good. Now, third-party font support is actually something that's pretty new to iPadOS. When we saw the initial announcement, it was exciting, but we had no idea how to actually install those third-party fonts. So I got this free app called Fontcase. You basically download any of the fonts you want to your Files app or send them from your computer to your iPad and then open them up in Fontcase. From there you install a profile and that's it. All the third-party fonts you want work perfectly on your iPad and in all of the apps that support them. It's a simple app, but a very useful app. Now, Procreate is what I use for drawing and sketching on the iPad, and it's the best app for illustration in my opinion. There are so many customizable brushes, layers, and functionality that makes it totally usable for professional illustration projects, or even just rough mockups, which is mostly what I use it for. While Notability is my go-to for handwriting notes as it just works very well. There's different paper types, an audio recording feature, different tools, and you can actually open 2 notes in split screen, which is quite useful while studying. For video edits, I honestly don't use the iPad too much, but if it's a light edit, I just throw it in iMovie, just to link clips together, add a fade, something simple. But for the more complex stuff on the go, Lumafusion is as close as it gets to Final Cut Pro on the iPad Pro. It lets you do some pretty advanced stuff while editing your videos, and I actually know quite a few YouTubers who actually use Lumafusion as their main video editor, which is quite impressive. So next up, Garageband. It's great for making pretty simple tracks and background music with the live loops feature, and you can actually play digital instruments, or hook up a MIDI keyboard and record. Next is Shiftscreen, and it basically provides the monitor support that Apple never really gave us with iPadOS 14. You basically plug your iPad into a monitor and it lets you have a full screen experience with web tabs in split screen, and one additional app open on the iPad. I find it pretty useful for working on research essays or projects where I have to have a bunch of tabs open and maybe a video playing as well as a word processing app on the iPad for typing out all my findings and my sources. It's pretty cool. And speaking of word processing, I use Apple's Pages app, part of their iWork suite. For typing out essays, proposals, briefs, all that kind of stuff, Pages has been my go-to. It's gotten better and better with more features, and I've used it as well as Keynote and Numbers to get through over 4 years of college and university so far. No complaints. I gotta say though, Keynote is one of the best things that Apple has ever made by far, and makes presentations and slideshows actually fun and entertaining. And finally in this folder is Canon Camera Connect. Pretty much lets me control my camera from my iPad. You can adjust manual controls and autofocus, and it also just works as a really good second large display. The second folder is apps used for entertainment and fun. So we have a bunch of streaming services like Prime Video, TV+, Tubi, Netflix, YouTube, and YouTube Studio. And we also have Apple Podcasts and the Reddit app. Below that, we have some games. So the first game here is Fortnite. It's kind of an unknown, relatively new indie game. Not sure if you've heard about it. And we also have Alto's Odyssey and Alto's Adventure. Two absolutely gorgeous games. And of course, Monument Valley 2, which is a puzzle game that combines music and buttery smooth graphics, and basically every scene is a wallpaper. In a complete contrast to those games, GTA San Andreas and GTA 3. These are definitely some older games, but they still really hold up today, and you'll often just find me driving around throughout the cities in each of these games, just having a good time. The third folder is for social apps, so we have some stuff like Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, and non-social apps like Uber Eats. Nothing too interesting here. And the fourth and final folder is for utility apps. So we have some of the more boring stock Apple apps here and things like Translate and Maps, but there's one somewhat exciting app, a third-party calculator for the iPad. A stock app that Apple still hasn't included yet, and it does work pretty great. So that's what's on my iPad Pro. These are the apps I use for work, trying to succeed at school, making fun projects, entertainment, and also just getting other stuff done on the iPad. And of course, a huge shout out to all the amazing developers out there who made these applications into a reality. You're all incredibly talented, keep doing what you do, you're changing the world, and links to all the apps mentioned in this video in the description. Also, thanks to our sponsor, Yellow Images. If you're a designer like me, you've probably struggled at some point to find high-resolution versions of objects, images, or PNGs for your projects. Well, Yellow Images is here to help. They are the #1 marketplace for mockups, fonts, 360-degree images, and many more graphic design assets. In mere minutes, you can make realistic mockups to wow your clients, and all the mockups found on Yellow Images come in high resolution with even details like accurate lighting, shadows, and texture. There are over 40,000 mockups available in the Yellow Images marketplace, and it's always being updated with even more high-quality hand-picked resources. And you can even add your own mockups to the site and get paid. If you're interested, use the coupon code Canoopsy30 to get 30% off your purchase at the link in the description. There are only a few codes though, so act fast. And that's it. Let me know in the comments down below some of your favorite iPad apps so I can check them out for myself. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe, and thank you for watching.